Welcome to another episode of the Lone Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Clemenson, and if you're a recruiter out on your own, just lacking general advice or mentorship, you've come to the right place. Our episodes are designed to give you the motivation, the strategies, and the support you need to become the very best lone recruiter. So join us, grab a cup of coffee, and let's take your desk to another level. Now, today is a continuation from yesterday's episode, but you don't need to have the other day's episode to understand this one, but it is episode 2 for 2024, so let's get stuck straight into it. Now, I'm actually going to work off my screen today, and I'm going to hopefully be able to share that behind me or in front of me. I'm not sure how we're going to edit this. Essentially, what I have here is a monthly planning document. And if you didn't listen to yesterday's episode, go and listen to it, or I'll give you the footnotes. We basically said, what is your desired target for the year? Let's distill that down to how many placements you need to make per year. And we kind of worked out who our key clients were and how we're going to approach that. I won't go into that again, but this is part 2 for that episode, which is how do we take all of that information and how do we actually put it into something that it's there and it's clear and we can come back to it. So this is just a Excel spreadsheet. And what we're going to do now, and if we click over to that now, you can see here it's a very simple layout, right? And it's a little bit empty. I had to empty it a bit out there because there's some sensitive information from my stuff, but this is essentially what I'm planning to do. So if we just walk you through this right now, average fee for me is $20,000. The desired target is $600,000. And so therefore the number of placements I need to make this year is 30. It's very simple. So then we break this down into what are we making this quarter? How many placements do I need to make this quarter? And then again, we break it down into the month. It's 50,000 this month and 3. And I said 3 because it was 2.5 or whatever it was. So I just wanted to round it out and challenge myself a little bit. But that's actually meant to be 2.5. So that's what it is. It's rounded it up for me. So then the other part of yesterday or the other episode was around key clients. So this is where we track it all, right? So if we can get our top client, put their name there, work out how many placements you're going to make with them, client 2, client 3, and so you understand it. This is where we track all of that. We work out how many we're going to make with them this quarter. And as you can see, it totals 10. So if this number is bigger, the same or bigger than this number, then I know within just these 6 clients, I have enough work to sustain what I want to chase this year. So this is a really simple way to keep track of it all, right? And so therefore, I'm going to go to this client, and I already have started saying this, is you've given me 3 briefs already. It is in my business plan to fill them up. And mate, they work with you so well when they know you're looking after them. And half the time with recruitment, the battle is that clients just don't know who's really looking after them. Where are they going to get these results from? Because they've got pressure too. So this is really useful. And if all you did was that, I feel like you probably don't have a tool like this. This is going to give you ultimate, absolute clarity. Within this, right, and this is where I go, well, sometimes something might happen, and like, what if one client has a freeze? Oh, crap, we're in trouble. Now I'm down to 7. I'm kind of close to what I can do, and then another one does as well. All of a sudden, you shouldn't always know what's next. So this part's more about like clients that didn't make the top list, but you still like them, or you see a lot of potential with them. I'd be putting those companies in here. So it's still quite warm. It's not a difficult list. This shouldn't scare you, this list. And, there either you think, do I need to start working on those guys for quarter 2? Like, is quarter 2 or quarter 3? Like, am I starting to see maybe it's a bit hard? I know at this time of year, quarter 3, like no one's hiring. So maybe I need a couple more for here. So you can start using this list over here to kind of pad out, in the next quarter or whatever. But there also this might be a good opportunity here to put in like, I really want to work with Google. So you put Google on there and then you go, how do we get into them? What does that mean? What's our approach? So there's no pressure to make money with them, but there's still some thought going into strategy. So that's what this is about. So again, this should all just be quite straightforward. And it's just, once it's out, it's just when you're feeling lost, you come back. Your North Star. Keep calling it. It's your North Star. So this sits almost quite statically at the top of your month planning document. So every month when you're doing this below bit, you kind of know what those numbers are. And they shouldn't waver. They shouldn't change. Maybe they change if you didn't hit your targets, but we're here to hit our targets. So let's not go there. So this is where we go down to the actual month plan. So let's say it's January. You might be looking at this, it's February. I just want you to talk out loud, type out loud what your strategy is actually going to be for this month. So for example, I just said, cool, for me to hit that, I know my numbers. I want to get into what can I control? I want to get into a really good habit of doing 2 projects per week. And what I mean by a project is a full sourcing campaign for a job or for a role. So I want to do 2 of those a week. That's it. And I also know how busy I get. So I'm going to say in here, I do them before Wednesday. Because if I can say it's before Wednesday, I know that causes me quite a lot of stress when I get to Thursday, Friday, and I have not done what I said I would get done. And we all know that starting with searches is the engine room for getting results. So I want to do that first up in the week. And maybe what I'll do once I've achieved both of those projects done, I reward myself. Maybe that's when I get a massage or go for a lunch or go for a surf or whatever that is. But this is where you start to hack your body a little bit and go, I know I need to get this done, and there's a little reward at the end. We love rewards. The other part to my strategy is about thinking about next week. So I want to be able to get my projects done, but I also want to be able to know that I've got 2 full briefs done for next week as well. So I already know what next week's workload's doing as well. Again, taking the stress out of what's next. The other bit I want to layer in there is I still think if you're doing all this sourcing, you're going to have excess candidates that might not fit your brief, but they're bloody good. Well, you want to do a minimum of 1 full canvas a week. That's also seeding for other opportunities, because this whole exercise, it's not set in stone in the sense that if a really good opportunity comes along, by all means, add it in. Like, don't not do it. This is just the stuff we can control and plan for, and then life happens, and then everything else happens, and we just need to know where does that fit in and around what we're trying to achieve. This is where I go, yep, I need to book a trip to Melbourne, which I've done. I'm going down in a couple of weeks. I also need to interview a bunch of recruiters, so I've got to get that. And this is just where your XYZ strategy, like this is where all the other stuff comes in. I really need to go and talk to the accountants about this. I really need to sort my cash flow out. I really need to do this. I need to get my marketing, my website, whatever. That's where you start going, this is where I want to start putting additional strategies in that's outside of making money. So again, this weekly imperatives is kind of similar to strategy, but this is like everything you want to get done in the month. This is kind of like this is what actually has to get done for it to be constituted as a good week. So for me, again, 2 projects, know what 2 roles I'm working on next week, and a full canvas. If that's all I do this week and nothing else happens, I've had a good week. And you might say, well, what about closing deals? Isn't that what makes a good week? Absolutely, but this is about what can we control, what can we, do, and what can we know we can get done, irrespective of the result. And it's this stuff. It will make you way happier as a recruiter, I tell you now. And then what we do is we simply break that down into each week. So again, we're just distilling further and further and further. You're going to get that quality alcohol. Keep distilling. And yes, there's not always 5 weeks in a month, but I know sometimes the calendar gets funny and you get a sneaky little extra bit a week. So there's always a 5th week every couple of months. Hence why there's that column. But start with, when are you making your placements? Okay? So let's actually start by going, I need to make my 3 or 2.5 this month. I know I've got a bunch of things that are close to pending. So chances are I make a placement in week 2. And at this point, you would probably put in like candidate 1 or 2, sort of hedge it a bit. You got a couple there, cool. Out of those 2 candidates, I'm going to make a placement. And then you start thinking, well, then I've got a few things in first interview, and then I'm going to have to start generating. So I reckon by week 4, which is a bit risky to put all your eggs in the last week of the month, but if you go, that's what we're aiming for, what do I need to do now to get there? So now you're going, week 1, 2 projects, 1 canvas, and it's very repetitive. Repetition, though, is key to knowing what you need to do. 1 canvas and then 2 briefs. That's it. And when I say briefs, it's not like, we'll talk next week. You want to have them in the bag, ready to rock and roll so that you come into Monday going, done, I know exactly what I'm doing. So that's it. Week 1 is that, right? And it's actually going to probably be the same each week, right? Come on, computer. Here we go. And before you know it, now when I come into week 1, I go, all right, this is what I need to do. This is also where you go, okay, come up to your big strategy and you go, book Melbourne. I'm going to book Melbourne in week 1. I'm going to come up here and go interview recruiters. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm probably going to go to Melbourne. Actually, that's a terrible time to go to Melbourne because I'm going to be making 2 placements. I don't think that's good. I'm going to go to Melbourne in week 3. Oops. Because that's probably better use. That's probably a better time to go. Cool. Yep. Interviewing recruiters. I'm probably going to go, let's go interview 2 recruiters. And yeah, I'll probably do interview. No, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to go to Melbourne. You don't want to do too many non-billing activities in the 1 week because it just ruins your week. You know what I mean? That's it, and then I've got XYZ. So let's go XYZ, whatever that was. But you get the gist, right? I'm building out my month and I'm breaking it down into my week. So here you go. Now you've got like a bit of a playbook each week. Now here's the catch. Every Monday you need to revisit this thing and go, okay, cool. Week 1, tick, did 2 projects. Tick, got my 2 briefs. So I already know that I can satisfy these projects. I booked Melbourne, tick. I did not do a full canvas. So what you do is you now have to do 2. Okay? And the idea here is that you do not let the compounding factor of missing your goals add up. It's really important that the numbers you adjust. If you go a couple of weeks into this going, I've bitten off way too much I can chew, adjust it and be okay with that. But don't let these numbers continue to build up because it will just create pressure that you can't ever resolve. But the point here is that you want to be honest with yourself. Can I get that done in this week? Make a verbal contract with yourself that says, I'm going to get this done this week, and do it. It's as simple as that. So that's it. We're breaking this down into the weeks. Now, what's here? Notes, achievements. This is kind of like the big ones. I've gone placement 1, placement 2, placement 3. Now, these are green because I've just deleted some of this stuff. But let's just say I placed candidate X and I've placed candidate Y, and I've also hit my 50K target because I'm on 60. So I've actually hit what I need to do this month, and it's we've got another week left to go in January, which is when I'm recording this. So I can say, yes, I've done that. Yes, I've done that. And yes, I've done that. And therefore, I've done this. So essentially, I have achieved what I set out to do this month. And so therefore, I get full green lights. And this is pretty self-explanatory. Is there a new business that you secured? Maybe it's some strategic roles you are chasing, or maybe there's some clients that were there that you needed to go and get the briefs. I don't know. This is just more of a at the end of the month reflection piece. And look, specs you're chasing, very straightforward as well. Like if you're going to have to do 2 projects per week, what are the 8 you think out of here? What are the ones you want to chase this month? And it is actually quite important to do it pretty hard at the beginning of the quarter, January, February sort of thing, because sometimes the processes can take quite a bit of time. So again, putting it's all about the North Star, putting in those roles that you're going to be chasing these weeks. So you might know the first 3 or 4. You might know that you've got that one covered for this week. You kind of know that. It might get blurry at week 4, 3 and 4 for the month. That's fine, because as you get through the weeks, you hone in on these things and start to work out. You're doing these canvases and whatever. So you start to get a feel for what is going to be coming up. But the point is, as long as you're ahead of the pipeline, you'll be in a good spot. And look, and I think the key here is at the end of the month is reflection and going, I only made 2 placements. But if you hit your, look, I say it's about the placements, but if you hit your dollar value, then look, who cares? But you might also hit 3, which is what your target was, and not hit your dollar value. And hopefully that's okay. It should come out in the wash because it is based on your average fees. You might have just had small fee month. Happens. So I wouldn't be too stressed about that. But this is it. This just sits on your desktop, and it is, I would look at it every day. I would look at this every month and make sure that all these numbers are still good. I would set up your month every month using this, and then every day I'd pick it up and go, we're in week 2. This is what I need to do. That's it. So it's not your to-do list. It's your strategic to-do list. So this is we need to get these done. Your to-do list will be 1,000 miles long. We know that. There's always 1,000 things to do. But as long as you're getting this stuff done, you can pat yourself on the back and go, I'm on track. Okay? And that's what this is about. So that's all I have time for you today. I'm going to make this available to you guys. So join the mailing list if you haven't already, which is hello@thelonerecruiter.com. You will be able to get this from the website as well. And I believe it should be all over the socials too. So if you really want this and you can't find it, shoot me an email or hit me up on LinkedIn and we'll sort you out. That's all we have time for today. As always, have an amazing day and may all your deals come true.